Have you ever wondered why some people seem to feel so deeply, instantly connecting with the emotions of others, while some struggle to understand or respond? We often think empathy comes from the heart, but science reveals a deeper truth: empathy is not just an emotional trait. It's a biological process, rooted in our brains and bodies, shaped by evolution, and essential to human survival. Today we're going to dive into the hidden biology of empathy and uncover why our ability to connect is more than kindness, it's a fundamental part of who we are. Let's start with something simple: a smile. When you see someone smile, what happens? Chances are, you smile back almost without thinking. That's not just social politeness. Inside your brain, something called mirror neurons are firing. These special brain cells activate not only when you perform an action, but also when you observe someone else performing it. In other words, your brain mirrors their experience. When you see a smile, your brain rehearses smiling. When you see someone in pain, your brain simulates that pain. These mirror neurons are part of the wiring that allows us to feel what others feel. They bridge the gap between self and other, turning observation into shared experience. But empathy is not just about copying. It goes deeper. Imagine you watch someone accidentally cut their finger. You might wince. That reaction isn't just mental, it's physiological. Brain imaging studies show that when we witness another person's pain, the same neural circuits that process pain in our own bodies light up. Our anterior cingulate cortex, our insula, and other regions involved in emotional processing activate as if we were hurt ourselves. Of course, we don't feel the exact physical sensation, but our brains simulate the experience enough to give us a window into another's suffering. This is empathy in action. Not sympathy from a distance, but a biological resonance that pulls us closer to others' realities. Why would evolution design us this way? Feeling another's pain doesn't help us directly, right? Yet empathy carries powerful survival advantages. Early humans depended on each other not just for food and protection, but for cooperation. Groups with stronger bonds had better chances of survival. If you could sense when your neighbor was in distress, you were more likely to help, and more likely to receive help when you needed it. This created a cycle of mutual care. Empathy made us better parents, better partners, better members of communities. It strengthened social cohesion, which was as vital to survival as hunting skills or shelter. In evolutionary terms, empathy wasn't just a nice extra, it was a biological imperative. Interestingly, empathy is not limited to humans. Many animals show signs of it. Elephants pause to comfort distressed herd members. Rats will free their cage mates from traps, even when offered food instead. Primates console one another after conflicts, hugging and grooming to ease tension. These behaviors suggest that empathy has deep evolutionary roots, perhaps tied to the survival of social species. The fact that we share this trait across the animal kingdom emphasizes just how central it is to life itself. Yet empathy isn't a simple on-off switch. It's shaped by our biology, psychology, and environment. Hormones play a big role here. Oxytocin, often called the love hormone, enhances trust, bonding, and pro-social behavior. It floods our system when we hug, touch, or experience closeness, making us more receptive to others' feelings. Dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins also contribute to the emotional rewards of empathy. Our bodies are chemically wired to encourage connection, literally rewarding us when we reach out with compassion. Of course, empathy varies from person to person. Some individuals seem naturally tuned into others' emotions, while others struggle. Genetics play a role, but so do life experiences. Childhood bonding and attachment strongly influence how empathy develops. A nurturing, responsive environment can strengthen empathetic pathways, while neglect or trauma can blunt them. Neurodiversity also affects how empathy is expressed. For example, individuals on the autism spectrum may experience empathy differently, not as absence, but in forms that don't always align with traditional social cues. This diversity reminds us that empathy is not a one-size-fits-all phenomenon, but a spectrum of capacities shaped by unique lives and brains. Now let's revisit the empathy paradox. If empathy helps us connect, why do some people seem to shut it off? One explanation is empathy fatigue. Our brains are wired to resonate with others' pain, but constant exposure, like healthcare workers seeing suffering every day, can overwhelm the system. To protect themselves, people sometimes suppress empathetic responses. This doesn't mean empathy disappears, but that it's modulated. The brain has mechanisms to dial empathy up or down, depending on context. Soldiers in battle, for instance, may suppress empathy to act decisively, while parents caring for a child amplify it to the highest degree. Technology also raises new questions about empathy. In a world where we often interact through screens, we're missing out on many of the subtle cues, facial expressions, tone, touch, that our biology depends on to trigger empathy. This can make digital communication feel detached or even cold. Yet at the same time, technology can expand our circle of empathy. Videos, stories, and social media bring us face to face with people across the globe, showing us suffering or joy we would never otherwise witness. Our brains still respond with empathy, even for strangers thousands of miles away. Empathy also has a darker side. It can be biased. Studies show that we feel stronger empathy for people who look like us, speak like us, or belong to our in-group. This is an evolutionary leftover. Our ancestors survived by protecting those closest to them. But in today's interconnected world, this bias can fuel division. The challenge is to expand empathy beyond instinctive boundaries, to recognize the humanity in those who are different from us. This is where conscious reflection and cultural learning step in. Our biology gives us the tools, but our societies and values decide how far we extend them. On a personal level, understanding the biology of empathy can help us grow it. Practices like mindfulness meditation have been shown to strengthen empathetic responses in the brain. Acts of compassion release oxytocin and reinforce neural pathways, making empathy more natural over time. Even something as simple as active listening, truly paying attention without judgment, can rewire our brains for deeper connection. It turns out that empathy, like a muscle, grows stronger with practice. So the next time you catch yourself smiling when someone else smiles, or wincing at another's pain, remember, what you're experiencing is not just kindness, it's the product of millions of years of evolution, complex neural networks, and chemical signals firing in your brain and body. Empathy is not an optional trait, nor is it simply a moral choice. It is biology in motion. It is the invisible thread that ties us to one another, ensuring that we are never fully alone in our joys or in our struggles. And perhaps the most powerful takeaway is this: empathy is proof that our brains were designed for connection. We are not isolated machines but interconnected beings. Understanding the biology of empathy reveals that compassion isn't just about making the world a better place. It's about fulfilling a fundamental part of what it means to be human. Our ability to feel with others is not weakness. It is one of the greatest strengths nature ever gave us. If you find this video informative, please hit the like button, subscribe this channel and feel free to share your comments.